again, Lane.
I didn't think it polite to listen, sir.
Well, I'm sorry for that for your sake. I don't play accurately. Anyone can play accurately, but I play with a wonderful expression. As far as the piano is concerned, sentiment is my forte. I studied science for life.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and speaking of science for life, Lane, did you order the cucumber sandwiches for Lady Bracknell?
Oh, yes, sir.
And when I see from your book that on Thursday night, when Lord Shulman and Mr. Worthing were dining here, that 8 bottles of champagne are entered as having been consumed.
Yes, sir. 8 bottles and a pint.
Why is it at a dinner party the servants invariably drink the champagne? I ask, merely for information.
I attribute it to the quality of the wine, sir. I have observed that in married households, the champagne is rarely of a first-rate brand.
Good heavens, Lane, is marriage so demoralizing as that?
Oh, I believe it a very pleasant state, sir. Of course, I've had very little experience of it to the present. I've only been married once. That was due to a misunderstanding between myself and a young person.
Not quite sure I'm interested in your family life, Lane.
No, sir. It is not a very interesting subject. I never think of it myself.
Very natural, I'm sure. That will do, Lane, thank you.
Yes.
Lane's views on marriage seem somewhat lax. Really, if the law orders can set a good example, what on earth is the use of them? They seem as a class to have no sense of moral responsibility.
Mr. Earnest Worthing.
My dear Ernest, what brings you to town?
Oh, pleasure, pleasure. What else should bring anyone anywhere? Eating as usual, I see, Algy.
I believe it is customary in good society to take some slight refreshment at 5 o'clock. Where have you been since Thursday?
In the country.
What on earth do you do there?
When one is in town, one amuses oneself. When one is in the country, one amuses other people. It is excessively boring.
And who are the people you amuse?
Oh, neighbors.
Got nice neighbors in your part of Shropshire.
Perfectly horrid. Never speak to one of them.
How immensely you must amuse them. By the way, Shropshire is in your county, is it not?
Shropshire. Yes, of course. Hello. Why all these cups? Why cucumber sandwiches? Why such reckless extravagance in one so young? Who's coming to tea?
Merely Aunt Augusta and Gwendolyn.
Perfectly delightful.
Yes, it's all very well, but I'm not quite sure Aunt Augusta will quite approve of your being here.
May I ask why?
My dear fellow, the way you flirt with Gwendolyn is perfectly disgraceful. It's almost as bad as the way Gwendolyn flirts with you.
I am in love with Gwendolyn. I have come up to town expressly to propose to her.
And I thought you'd come up to town for pleasure. I call that business.
Certainly unromantic you are.
I really don't see anything romantic in proposing. It is very romantic to be in love, but there's nothing romantic about a definite proposal. One may be accepted, one usually is, I believe. And then the romance is over. The very essence of romance is uncertainty. If I ever get married, I'll certainly try and forget the fact.
I have no doubt about that, dear Algy. The divorce courts were specially invented for people whose memories are so curiously constituted.
Well, there's no use speculating on that fact. Divorces are made in heaven. Please don't touch the cucumber sandwiches. They're made especially for Aunt Augusta.
Well, you've been eating them all the time.
This is quite a different matter. She's my aunt. Have some bread and butter. The bread and butter for Gwendolyn. She is devoted to bread and butter.
Very good bread and butter it is, too.
My dear boy, you need not eat as if you're going to eat at all. You act as if you are married to her. You are not married to her, and, well, I don't think you ever will be.
Why on earth do you say that?
Well, in the first place, girls never marry the men they flirt with. Girls don't make it right.
That is nonsense.
It isn't. It is a great truth. It accounts for the extraordinary number of bachelors one sees all over the place. And in the second place, I don't give my consent.
Your consent?
My dear fellow, Gwendolyn is my first cousin, and before I allow you to marry her, you must first clear up the whole question of Cecily.
Cecily? What on earth do you mean, Algy, by Cecily? I don't know anyone by the name Cecily.
Bring me that cigarette case Mr. Worthing left the last time he dined here.
Yes, sir.
Do you mean to say you've had my cigarette case all this time? I wish to goodness you could let me know. I've been writing frantic letters to Scotland Yard about it. I was very nearly offering a large reward.
Well, I wish you would offer one. I happen to be more than usually hard up. However, it makes no difference, for now that I read the inscription on the inside, I find that the thing isn't yours at all.
What do you mean? Of course it's mine. You've seen me with it 100 times. And you have no right whatsoever to read what's written inside. It's a very ungentlemanly thing to read what's written inside a private cigarette case.
It's absurd to have a hard and fast rule about what one should read and what one shouldn't. For more than half of modern culture depends on what one shouldn't read.
I'm quite aware of the fact, and I don't propose to discuss modern culture. It isn't the sort of thing one should speak of in private. I simply want my cigarette case back.
Yes, but this is not your cigarette case. This cigarette case was given by someone of the name of Cecily. You said you didn't know anyone by that name.
Well, if you must know, Cecily happens to be my aunt.
Your aunt?
Yes, charming old lady she is too, lives in Tunbridge Wells. Just give it back to me, I'll
Yes, but why does she call herself Little Cecily? Or from Little Cecily with her fondest love?
My dear Algy, what on earth is there in that? Some aunts are tall, some aunts are not tall. That is a matter surely an aunt may be allowed to decide for herself. You seem to think that every aunt should be exactly like your aunt. That is absurd. For heaven's sake, just give me back my cigarette case.
Yes, but why does she call you her dear uncle? From Little Cecily with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. There's no objection, I admit, to an aunt being a small aunt. But why an aunt, no matter what the size may be, should call her own nephew or uncle? I can't quite make out. Besides, the name isn't Jack at all, it's Ernest.
It isn't Ernest, it's Jack.
You have always told me it was Ernest. I introduced you to people as Ernest. You answer to the name of Ernest. Well, you look as if your name was Ernest. You are the most earnest-looking person I've ever seen in my entire life. It's perfectly absurd to think your name is not Ernest. It's right here on your card. Mr. Ernest Worthing B. for the Albany. Well, I'll keep this as proof that your name is Ernest if ever you attempt to deny it to me or to Gwendolyn or to anyone else.
Well, my name is Ernest in town and Jack in the country, and the cigarette case was given to me in the country.
Yes, but that does not account for the fact that your small aunt Cecily, who lives in Tunbridge Wells, calls you a dear uncle. Come, old boy, you better step out of it.
My dear Algy, you talk exactly as if you were a dentist. It's very vulgar to talk like a dentist when one isn't a dentist. It produces false impressions.
That's exactly what dentists always do. Now, tell me, might I add, I've always suspected you of being a secret and confirmed Bunburyist, and I'm quite sure of it now.
Bunburyist? What on earth do you mean, Algy, by Bunburyist?
I'll reveal to you the meaning of that incomparable expression as soon as you're kind enough to tell me why you are Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Well, produce my cigarette case first.
Here it is. Now produce your explanation. And pray make it improbable.
There's nothing improbable about my explanation at all. In fact, it's perfectly ordinary. The old Mr. Thomas Cardew, who adopted me when I was a little boy, made me in his will guardian to his granddaughter, Miss Cecily Cardew. Cecily, who addresses me as her uncle out of motives of respect that you could not possibly appreciate, lives at my place in the country under the charge of her admirable governess, Miss Prism.
And where is this place in the country, by the way?
That is nothing to you, dear boy. You're not going to be invited. I may tell you candidly that the place is not in Shropshire.
Well, I suspected that. I've Bunburied all over Shropshire on 2 separate occasions. Now go on, tell me, why are you Ernest in town and Jack in the country?
Dear boy, I don't know if you'll be able to understand my real motives. You're hardly serious enough. When one is placed in a position of guardian, one has to adopt a very high moral tone on all subjects. It's one's duty to do so. And as a high moral tone can hardly be said to conduce very much to either one's health or one's happiness, in order to get up to town, I have always pretended to have a younger brother by the name of Ernest, who lives in the Albany and gets into the most dreadful scrapes. That, my dear Algy, is the whole truth, pure and simple.
Truth is never pure and rarely simple. Modern life would be very tedious if it were either. Modern literature, complete impossibility.
That wouldn't be at all a bad thing.
Modern literature is not my forte, my dear fellow. Don't try it. You should leave that to people who haven't been at university. They do it so well in the daily papers. Now, what you really are is a Bunburyist. I was quite right in saying you were a Bunburyist. You are one of the more advanced Bunburyists I know.
What on earth do you mean?
You have invented a very useful younger brother by the name of Ernest so that you may be able to go to town as often as you like. I have created an invaluable permanent invalid by the name of Bunbury so that I may be able to go to the country whenever I choose. Bunbury is perfectly invaluable. Why, if it wasn't for Bunbury's extraordinarily bad health, for instance, I would not be able to dine with you at Willis's tonight, where I have really been engaged to Augusta for more than a week.
I haven't asked you to dine with me anywhere tonight.
I know. You are absurdly careless about sending out invitations. It's very thoughtless of you. You know nothing knows people is not receiving invitations.
Well, you had much better dine with your Aunt Augusta.
I haven't got the slightest intention of doing anything of the sort. In the first place, I dine there on Monday, and once a week is quite enough to spend with one's own relations. In the second place, I know exactly who she will seat me next to. She will seat me next to Mary Farquhar, who always flirts with her husband across the dinner table. It's not very pleasant. Indeed, it's not even decent. The number of women in London who flirt with their husbands is perfectly scandalous. It looks so bad. It's simply washing one's clean linen in public. In the third place, every time I do go there, I'm always treated as a member of the family, neither sent down with 2 women or none at all. Besides, now that I know you to be a confirmed Bunburyist, I naturally want to talk to you about Bunbury. I want to go over the rules.
I am not a Bunburyist at all. If Gwendolyn accepts me, I'm going to kill my brother. Indeed, I think I'm going to kill him in any case. Cecily's growing a little too interested in him. It's rather odd. So, I'm going to get rid of Ernest, and I strongly advise you to do the same with your invalid friend who has the absurd name.
Nothing will induce me more to part with Bunbury. And if you ever get married, which seems to me to be extremely problematic, you will also want to know Bunbury. A man who marries without knowing Bunbury has a very tedious time of it.
It is nonsense. If I marry Gwendolyn, and she is the only girl that I ever saw in my life that I would marry, I certainly won't want to know Bunbury.
But then your wife will. You don't seem to realize that in married life, 3 is a crowd and 2 is none.
That, my dear young friend, is the theory that the corrupt French drama has been propounding for the last 50 years.
Yes. And that the happy English home has proved in half the time.
Don't try to be cynical. It's perfectly easy to be cynical.
Well, it isn't easy being anything nowadays. There's such a lot of beastly competition about. That must be Aunt Augusta. Only relatives or creditors ever ring in that Wagnerian manner. Now, if I allow you 10 minutes so that you may be able to propose to Gwendolyn, may I please dine with you at Willis's tonight?
I suppose so if you want to.
Yes, but you must be serious about it. I hate people who are not serious about meals. They're so shallow then.
The Lady Bracknell and Miss Fairfax.
Good afternoon, dear Algernon. I hope you are behaving very well.
Well, I feel very well, Aunt Augusta.
Well, that is not quite the same thing. In fact, the two rarely go together.
My word, Gwendolyn, you are smart.
I'm always smart. Aren't I, Mr. Worthing?
You're quite perfect, Miss Fairfax.
Oh, I hope I'm not that. It will leave no room for developments. And I intend to develop in many directions.
I am sorry if we are a bit late, Algernon, but I was obliged to call upon the dear Lady Harbury. I had not seen her since her poor husband's death. I've never seen a person so altered. She looked quite 20 years younger. And now I'll have a cup of tea and one of those nice cucumber sandwiches you promised me.
Certainly, Aunt Augusta.
Won't you come and sit over here, Gwendolyn?
Thanks, Mama. I'm quite comfortable where I am.
Good heavens! Lane! Why are there no cucumber sandwiches? I ordered them specially.
There were no cucumbers at the market this morning, sir. I went down twice.
No cucumbers.
No, sir, not even for ready money.
That'll do, Lane, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'm greatly distressed, Aunt Augusta, that there were no cucumbers.
Well, that matters not, Algernon. I had crumpets with Lady Harbury, who seems to me to be living entirely for pleasure now.
Yes, her hair has turned quite gold from grief.
Well, it certainly has changed color, but from what cause I, of course, cannot say. Oh, I have quite a treat for you tonight, Algernon. I am sending you down with Mary Farquhar. Oh, such a lovely woman, and so attentive to her husband. It is delightful to watch them.
I'm greatly distressed, Aunt Augusta, but I shall have to give up the pleasure of dining with you tonight.
I hope not. It would put my table completely out. Your uncle would have to dine upstairs. Fortunately, he is accustomed to that.
It is a great bore, and I dare say an inconvenience. But the truth of the matter is that I've just received a telegram saying that my poor friend Bunbury is quite ill again. They seem to think I should be with him.
It is very strange. This Mr. Bunbury seems to suffer from curiously bad health.
Yes, poor Bunbury is a dreadful invalid.
Well, I must say, Algernon, that I think it is high time Mr. Bunbury make up his mind whether he is going to live or die. This shilly-shallying with the question is absurd. Nor do I in any way approve of the modern sympathy with invalids. I consider it morbid. Illness of any kind is hardly a thing one should encourage in others. Health is the primary duty of life. I'm always telling this to your poor uncle, who never seems to take much notice as far as any improvements in his ailments goes. But I would be much obliged to you, Algernon, if you would ask Mr. Bunbury from me if he would be kind enough not to have a relapse on Saturday. I rely on you to arrange my music for me. It is my last reception, and one wants something that encourages conversation, especially at the end of the season when everybody has said practically whatever they had to say, which in most cases was probably not much.
I'll speak to poor Bunbury if he is still conscious, and I think I can promise you that he'll be all right by Saturday. The music, on the other hand, is a great difficulty. You see, if one plays good music, people don't talk, and if one plays bad music, people don't listen. But I'll run over the program I've drawn out if you would kindly step into the next room with me for a minute.
Oh, well, thank you, Algernon. That is most thoughtful of you. The program, I am sure, will be delightful after a few expurgations. French music I cannot possibly allow. Most people think it is improper and either look shocked, which is vulgar, or laugh, which is worse. But German sounds a thoroughly respectable language, and indeed, I believe is so. Gwendolen, you will accompany me?
Certainly, Mamma.
A charming day it's been, Miss Fairfax.
Pray don't talk to me about the weather, Mr. Worthing. Whenever people talk to me about the weather, I always feel quite certain that they mean something else. And that makes me so nervous.
I do mean something else.
I thought so. In fact, I'm never wrong.
I would like to be able to take advantage of Lady Bracknell's temporary absence.
I would certainly advise you to do so. Mamma has a way of coming back into rooms suddenly that I've often had to speak to her about.
Miss Fairfax, ever since I met you, I have admired you more than any girl that I have ever met. Since I met you.
Yes, I'm quite aware of the fact. And I often wish that in public, at any rate, you had been more demonstrative. For me, you've always had an irresistible fascination. Even before I met you, I was far from indifferent to you. We live, as I hope you know, Mr. Worthing, in an age of ideals. The fact is constantly mentioned in the more expensive monthly magazines, and has reached the provincial pulpits, I'm told. And my ideal has always been to love someone of the name of Earnest. There is something in that name that inspires absolute confidence. From the moment Algernon first mentioned to me that he had a friend called Earnest, I knew I was destined to love him.
You really love me, Gwendolen.
Passionately.
Darling, you don't know how happy you've just made me.
Ernest. My own Ernest.
You don't really mean to say that you couldn't love me if my name wasn't Ernest?
Oh, but your name is Ernest.
Yes, I know it is. But supposing that it was something else. Do you mean to say that you couldn't love me then?
Oh, that is clearly a metaphysical speculation. And like most metaphysical speculations, has very little reference at all to the actual facts of real life as we know them.
Personally, darling, to speak quite candidly, I don't much care for the name of Earnest. I don't think the name suits me at all.
Oh, it suits you perfectly. It is a divine name. It has a music of its own. It produces vibrations.
I will say that there are lots of other much nicer names. Like Jack, for instance, I think to be a charming name.
Jack. No, there There's very little music in the name Jack, if any at all indeed. It does not thrill, it produces absolutely no vibrations. I've known several Jacks, and they all, without exception, were more than usually plain. Besides, Jack is a notorious domesticity for John, and I pity any woman who's married to a man called John. She would probably never be allowed to know the entrancing pleasure of a single moment's solitude. The only really safe name is Earnest.
Gwendolyn, I must get christened at once. I mean, to say, of course, that we must get married at once. There's no time to be lost.
Married, Mr. Worthing.
Well, yes. I mean, to say, you know that I love you, and you led me to believe, Miss Fairfax, that you were not absolutely indifferent to me.
I adore you, but you haven't proposed to me yet. Nothing has been said at all about marriage. The subject has not even been touched on.
Well, may I propose to you now?
I think it would be an admirable opportunity, Mr. Worthing. And to spare you any possible disappointment, I think it only fair to tell you quite frankly beforehand that I am fully determined to accept you.
Gwendolyn,
Yes, Mr. Worthing, what have you got to say to me?
you know what I've got to say to you.
Yes, but you don't say it.
Gwendolyn, will you marry me?
Of course I will, darling. How long have you been about it? I am afraid you've had very little experience in how to propose.
I own one. I've never loved anyone in the world but you.
Oh, yes, but men often propose for practice. I know my brother Gerald does. All my girlfriends tell me so. What wonderfully blue eyes you have, Ernest. They are quite blue. I hope you'll always look at me just like that, especially when there are other people present.
Mr. Worthing, rise, sir, from this semi-recumbent posture. It is most indecorous.
Mama, I must beg you to relax. This is no place for you. Besides, Mr. Worthing has not quite finished yet.
Finished what, may I ask?
I am engaged to be married to Mr. Worthing, Mama.
Pardon me, you are nothing of the sort. Should you become so engaged, I or your father, should his health permit him, will inform you of the fact. An engagement should come upon a young girl as a surprise, pleasant or unpleasant as the case may be. It is hardly a matter she could be allowed to resolve for herself. Now, I have some questions to put to you, Mr. Worthing. While I make these inquiries, Gwendolyn, you will wait for me below in the carriage.
Mama!
In the carriage, Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn, the carriage!
Yes, Mama.
You may be seated, Mr. Worthing.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell. I prefer standing.
I feel bound to inform you that you are not on my list of eligible young men. Although I have the same list that dear Duchess of Bolton has. We work together, in fact. However, I am willing to enter your name should your questions and answers be what a truly affectionate mother requires. Now, do you smoke?
Yes, I must admit I do smoke.
I am glad to hear it. A young man ought to have an occupation of some kind. There are far too many idle young men in London as it is. How old are you?
29.
That is a good age to be married at. I am of the opinion, Mr. Worthing, that a man who desires to get married ought to know everything or nothing. Which do you know, Mr. Worthing?
I know nothing, Lady Bracknell.
I am very pleased to hear it. I do not approve of anything that tampers with natural ignorance. Ignorance is like a delicate, exotic fruit. Touch it, and the bloom is gone. The theory of modern education is radically unsound. Fortunately, in England at any rate, education produces no effect whatsoever. If it did, it would prove to be a serious danger to the upper classes and probably lead to acts of violence in Grosvenor Square. What is your income?
Between 7,000 and 8,000 a year.
In land or investments?
In investments, chiefly.
That is satisfactory. What between duties exacted of one during one's life and duties exacted after one's death, land has ceased to be either a profit or a pleasure. Land gives one position and keeps one from maintaining it. That is all that can be said about land.
I have a country house with some land. Of course, attached to it about 1,500 acres, I believe. But I don't depend on that for my real income. In fact, as far as I can make out, the poachers are the only people who seem to make anything out of it.
A country house, eh? And how many bedrooms does it have? Well, never mind, we can work that out later. You do have a townhouse, I presume. A girl of a simple and unspoiled nature such as Gwendolen could hardly be expected to reside in the country.
I have a house in Belgrave Square. It's led by the into Lady Bloxham. Of course, I can get it back whenever I like it, at 6 months' notice.
Lady Bloxham, I don't think I know her.
She knows about very little. She's a lady considerably advanced in years.
Oh, well, nowadays that is no guarantee of respectability of character. What number in Belgrave Square?
149.
Oh, the unfashionable side. I thought there might be something. Well, we can soon change that.
Do you mean the fashion or the side?
Oh, well, both, if necessary, I presume. What are your politics?
I'm afraid I really have none. I'm a liberal unionist.
Oh, well, they count as Tories. They dine with us or come in the evenings at any rate. Now for some more minor matters. Are your parents living?
I have lost both my parents.
Both? Well, to lose one parent, Mr. Worthing, might be considered a misfortune, but to lose both seems like carelessness. Who was your father? He was evidently a man of some wealth. Was he born in what the radical papers call the purple of commerce, or did he rise from the ranks of the aristocracy?
I'm afraid I don't really know. The fact is, Lady Bracknell, I said I had lost my parents. It would be near the truth to say that my parents seem to have lost me. I don't know who I am by birth. I was found.
Found?
Yes, the late Mr. Thomas Cardew, a man of a very charitable and kindly disposition, found me and gave me the name of Worthing, because he happened to have a first-class ticket for Worthing in his pocket at the time. Worthing is a place in Sussex. It's a seaside resort.
And where did this charitable gentleman who had a first-class ticket for a seaside resort find you?
In a handbag.
A handbag?
Yes, Lady Bracknell, a handbag. A somewhat large black handbag with handles to it. An ordinary handbag, in fact.
And where did Mr. Thomas Cardew come across this ordinary
The
handbag?
cloakroom at Victoria Station. It was given to him in mistake for his own.
A cloakroom at Victoria Station?
Yes, the Brighton line.
Oh, the line is immaterial, Mr. Worthing. Frankly, I am bewildered by what you have just told me. To be born, at any rate, bred in a handbag, whether it had handles or not, seems to me to display a contempt for the ordinary decencies of family life that lead one to remember the worst excesses of the French Revolution. And I presume you know what that unfortunate movement led to. As to the particular locality in which the handbag was found, a cloakroom at a railway station might serve to hide a social indiscretion. In fact, probably has performed such service before now. But it could hardly be regarded as an assured basis for a recognized position in good society.
May I ask you what you would advise me to do then? I need hardly say I would do anything in the world to ensure Gwendolen's happiness.
I would advise you, Mr. Worthing, to try and acquire some relations as soon as possible. And to put forth a definite effort to produce at least one parent of either sex before the season is quite over.
I don't see how I could possibly manage to do that. I can produce the handbag at any moment. It's in my dressing room at home. I really think that should satisfy you, Lady Bracknell.
Me? And what do you suppose it has to do with me? Oh, Mr. Worthing, you cannot imagine that Lord Bracknell and I would dream of allowing our only daughter, a girl brought up with the utmost care, to marry into a cloakroom and form an alliance with a parcel? Good day, Mr. Worthing.
Good day. For goodness sake, don't play that ghastly tune, Algy! How idiotic you are.
Didn't it go off all right, old boy? You don't mean to tell me that she refused you. I know it is a way she has. But she's always refusing people. It is most ill-natured of her.
Gwendolyn is as right as a trivet. As far as she is concerned, we are engaged. My mother is perfectly unbearable. I never met such a gorgon. I don't really know what a gorgon is like, but Lady Bracknell is one. In any case, she's a monster without being a myth, which is rather unfair. Sorry, Algy, I shouldn't speak about your own relatives in such a way before you.
Oh, I don't mind at all. In fact, I rather like hearing my relations abused. This is the only thing that makes me put up with them in the first place. You know, relations are simply a tedious pack of people who haven't got the remotest knowledge on how to live. No, the smallest instinct on when to die.
Nonsense.
What is it?
I'm not going to argue with you about the matter. You always want to argue about things.
Well, that's exactly what things were made for.
By my word, if I thought that, I'd shoot myself. You don't think that there's any chance of Gwendolyn becoming at all like her mother in about 150 years, do you, Algy?
All women become like their mothers. That is their tragedy. No man does. That's his.
Is that clever?
Well, it's perfectly phrased, and quite as true as anything in civilized life should be.
I am sick to death of cleverness. You can't go anywhere nowadays without meeting clever people. The thing has become an absolute public nuisance. I wish to goodness we had a few fools left.
We have
I should extremely like to meet them. What do they talk about?
the fools. All about the clever people, of course.
What fools?
By the way, have you told Gwendolyn yet the truth about your being Jack in the country and Ernest in town?
The truth isn't the sort of thing one tells to a nice, sweet, refined girl. What ideas you have about how to behave to a woman?
The only way to behave to a woman is to make love to her if she is pretty, and to someone else if she is plain. And what about your brother? What about the profligate Earnest?
By the end of the week, I shall have gotten rid of him. I'll say he died in Paris of apoplexy or something. Lots of people die of apoplexy quite suddenly, don't they?
Yes, but it's the sort of thing that runs in families. It's hereditary. You had much better say a severe chill.
Well, sure, severe chill isn't hereditary or anything of the kind.
Of course not.
Very well, then. My poor brother Ernest is carried off suddenly in Paris by a severe chill. That gets rid of him.
But I thought you said that. Miss Cardew seemed a little too interested in your brother. Won't you feel has lost a good deal?
Oh, Cecily is not a silly romantic girl, I am glad to say. She's got a capital appetite, goes on long walks, and pays no attention at all to her lessons.
I would much like to see this, Cecily.
I will take very good care you never do. She is excessively pretty and only just 18.
Well, you told Gwendolyn yet that you have a war that is excessively pretty and only just 18?
One doesn't blurt these things out to people. Gwendolyn and Cecily are perfectly certain to be extremely good friends. I'll bet you anything that you like that a half an hour after they've met, they'll be calling each other sister.
Women only call each other that after they've called each other a lot of other names first. Now we really must get going if we want to get a good place at Willis's tonight. Do you know it is nearly 7?
Oh, it's always nearly 7.
Well, I'm hungry.
I never knew you when you weren't.
And what are we to do after dinner? Go to the theater?
No, I loathe listening.
Well, we could go to the club.
No, I hate talking.
Well, we might trot around the Empire till
I
10.
can't stand looking at things. It's so silly.
Then what are we to do?
Nothing.
It's awfully hard work doing nothing. However, I don't mind work when there's no definite object of any kind.
Miss Fairfax.
Gwendolyn, upon my word.
Algy, kindly turn your back. I have something very particular to say to Mr. Worthing.
Really, Gwendolyn, I do not think I can allow this at all.
Algy, you have always adopted a strictly immoral attitude toward love. You are not quite old enough to do that.
I don't want.
Ernest, we may never be married. From the expression on Mama's face, I fear we never shall. A few parents nowadays pay any regard to what their children say to them. The old-fashioned respect for the young is fast dying out. Whatever influence I had over Mama, I lost at the age of 3. But although she may prevent us from becoming man and wife, and I may marry someone else, and very often, nothing she can possibly do can alter my eternal devotion to you.
Gwendolyn.
The story of your romantic origin is related to me by Mama, with unpleasing comments, has naturally stirred the deeper fibers of my nature. Your Christian name has an irresistible fascination. Well, the simplicity of your character makes you exquisitely incomprehensible to me. Your town address at the opening I had. What is your address in the country?
The Manor House, Woolton, Hertfordshire.
There is a good postal service, I suppose. It may be necessary to do something desperate. That, of course, will require serious consideration. I will communicate with you daily.
My own darling.
How long do you remain in town?
Till Monday.
Good. Algy, you may turn around now.
Thanks, I've turned around already.
You may also ring the bell.
You will let me see you to your carriage.
Certainly.
I will see Miss Fairfax out.
Yes, sir.
A glass of sherry, Lane.
Yes, sir.
I think tomorrow, Lane, I shall go Bunbury.
Yes, sir.
I shall not be back till Monday. You can put on my dress clothes, my smoking jacket, and all the other Bunbury suits.
Yes, sir.
I hope tomorrow shall be a fine day, Lane.
Oh, it never is, sir.
You are a perfect pessimist, Lane.
I do my best to give satisfaction, sir.
There is a sensible, intellectual girl. The only girl I ever knew in my life that I would marry. What on earth are you so amused at?
Oh, just a little anxious about our poor friend Bunbury, that's all.
If you're not careful, your friend Bunbury will get you into a serious scrape someday.
Well, I love scrapes. They're the only things in life that are not serious.
This is nonsense, Algy. You never speak of anything but nonsense.
Nobody ever does.
Cecily, surely such utilitarian occupation as watering the flowers is rather Morton's duty than yours.
Especially at a moment when intellectual pleasures await you.
Your German grammar is on the table. Pray open it to page 15. We will repeat yesterday's lesson.
But I don't like German. It isn't at all a becoming language. Well, I know perfectly well I look quite plain after my German lesson.
Child, you know how anxious your guardian is that you should improve yourself in every way. He laid particular stress on your German as he was leaving for town yesterday.
Indeed.
He always has stress on your German when he's leaving for town.
Uncle Jack is so very serious. Well, sometimes I think he is so serious that I think he cannot be quite well.
Mr. Worthing enjoys the best of health, and his gravity of demeanor is especially to be commended for one so comparatively young as he is. I know of no one who has a higher sense of duty and responsibility.
I suppose that is why he often looks a little bored when we three are together.
Cecily, I am surprised at you. Mr. Worthing has many troubles in his life. I know merriment and triviality would be out of place in his conversation. But you must remember this constant anxiety about that unfortunate young man, his brother.
I wish Uncle Jack would allow that unfortunate young man, his brother, to come down here sometimes. We might have a good influence over him, Miss Prism. I know you certainly would. You know German and geology and things of that kind influence a man very much.
I do not think that even I could produce an effect on a character that, according to his own brother's admittance, is irretrievably weak and vacillating. Indeed, I do not think I would desire to reclaim him. I'm not in favor of this modern mania for turning bad people into good people at a moment's notice. As a man sows, so let him reap. Oh, you must put away your diary, Sissy. I really don't see why you should keep a diary at all.
I keep a diary in order to enter all the wonderful secrets of my life. Well, if I didn't write them down, I suppose I should probably forget all about them.
Memory, my dear Cecily, is the diary that we all carry about with us.
Yes, but it usually chronicles the things that have never happened or couldn't possibly have happened. I believe that memory is responsible for all the 3-volume novels that Moody sends us.
Oh, you must not speak slightly of the 3-volume novel, Cecily. I wrote one myself in earlier days.
Did you really, Miss Prism? Well, how wonderfully clever you are. I hope it did not end happily. I don't like novels that end happily. They depress me so much.
Well, the good ended happily and the bad unhappily. That is what fiction means.
I suppose so, but it seems very unfair. And was your novel ever published?
Well, alas, no. The manuscript, unfortunately, was abandoned. Well, I use that word in the sense of lost or mislaid. To your work, child. These speculations are profitless.
Oh, but I see Dr. Chasuble coming up through the garden.
Dr. Chasuble, this is indeed a pleasure.
How are we this morning? Miss Prism, you are, I trust, well?
Miss Prism has just been complaining of a slight headache. I think it would do her so much good to take a short stroll in the park with you, Dr. Chasuble.
Cecily, I have not mentioned anything about a headache.
Oh, yes, indeed, Miss Prism, I know that. Yes, I felt instinctively that you had a headache. Yes, I was thinking about that and not my German lesson when the rector came in.
Oh, Cecily, I hope you are not inattentive.
I am afraid I am.
That is strange. Were I fortunate enough to be Miss Prism's pupil, I would hang upon her lips. I spoke metaphorically. My metaphor was drawn from bees. I suppose Mr. Worthing has not returned from town yet.
Well, we do not expect him till Monday afternoon.
Ah, yes, he usually spends his Sundays in London. He is not one whose sole aim is pleasure, and by all accounts, that unfortunate young man, his brother, seems to be. But I must not disturb Egeria and her pupil any longer.
Egeria, my name is Letitia, Doctor.
A classical allusion merely, drawn from the pagan authors. I shall see you both, no doubt, at Evensong.
I believe, dear Doctor, I will have a stroll with you. I find I have a headache after all. Walk might do it good.
With pleasure, Miss Prism, with pleasure. We may go as far as the schools and...
Oh, that would be delightful.
Oh, yes.
Cecily, you will read your political economy in my absence. The chapter on the fall of the rupee you may omit. I find it somewhat too sensational. Even these metallic problems have their melodramatic sides.
Horrid political economy, horrid geography, horrid German.
Mr. Earnest Worthing has just driven over from the station. He has brought his luggage with him.
Mr. Ernest Worthing, B4, the Albany W. Uncle Jack's brother. Did you tell him Mr. Worthing was in town?
Yes, miss. He seemed very much disappointed. I mentioned you and Miss Prism were in the garden. He said he was anxious to speak to you privately.
Ask Mr. Worthing to come here. I suppose you better talk to the housekeeper about a room for him.
Yes, miss.
I've never met any really wicked person before. I feel rather frightened. I'm afraid he will look just like everyone else. He does.
You are my little cousin Cecily, I am sure.
You are under some strange mistake. I am not little. In fact, I am more than usually tall for my age. But I am your cousin Cecily. You, I see from your card, are Uncle Jack's brother. My cousin Ernest. My wicked cousin Ernest.
Oh, I'm not truly wicked at all, cousin Cecily. You mustn't think that I'm wicked.
If you are not, then you have certainly been deceiving us all in a very inexcusable manner. I hope you have not been leading a double life, pretending to be wicked and being really good all the time. Well, that would be hypocrisy.
Oh, of course, I have been rather reckless.
I am glad to hear it.
In fact, now that you mentioned the subject. I've been very bad in my own small way.
I don't think that you should be so proud of that, though I'm sure it must have been very pleasant.
Oh, it's much pleasanter being here with you.
I can't understand how you're here at all. Uncle Jack won't be back until Monday afternoon.
It's a great disappointment. I'm obliged to go by the first train on Monday morning. I have a business appointment that I'm anxious to miss.
Couldn't you miss it anywhere but in London?
No, the appointment is in London.
Well, I know how important it is not to keep a business engagement if one wants to retain any sense of the beauty of life. But still, I think you'd better wait until Uncle Jack arrives. I know he wants to talk to you about your immigrating.
About my what?
Your immigrating. He has gone up to buy your outfit.
I certainly wouldn't let Jack buy my outfit. There's no taste in neckties at all.
I don't think that you should require neckties. Uncle is sending you to Australia.
To Australia? I'd sooner die.
Well, they said at dinner on Wednesday night that you would have to choose between this world, the next world, and Australia.
Well, the accounts I've received of Australia and the next world are not particularly encouraging. This world is good enough for me, Cousin Cecily.
Yes, but are you good enough for it?
I'm afraid I am not that. That's why I want you to reform me. You might make that your mission if you don't mind, Cousin Cecily.
I'm afraid I have no time this afternoon.
Well, would you mind my reforming myself this afternoon?
It is rather quixotic of you, but I think that you should try.
I will. Well, I feel better already.
You are looking a little worse.
Well, that is because I'm hungry.
Oh, how thoughtless of me. I should have remembered that when one is going to lead an entirely new life, one requires regular and wholesome meals. Won't you come in?
Thank you. Might I have a buttonhole first? I never have any appetite unless I have a buttonhole first.
Hey, Marshal Niel.
No, I'd sooner have a pink rose.
And why?
Because you, Cousin Cecily, are like a pink rose.
Oh, I don't think that you should speak to me like that. Miss Prism never says such things to me.
Well then, Miss Prism is a short-sighted old lady. You are the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Miss Prism says that all good looks are a snare.
They are a snare that every sensible man would like to be caught in.
Oh, I wouldn't care to catch a sensible man. I wouldn't know what to talk to him about.
You are too much alone, dear doctor. You should be married. A misanthrope I can understand. A woman throws, never.
Believe me, I do not deserve so neologistic a phrase. The precept as well as the practice of the primitive church was distinctly against matrimony.
That is obviously the reason why the primitive church has not lasted to the present day. And you do not seem to realize, dear doctor, that by persistently remaining single, a man converts himself to a permanent public temptation. Men should be careful. This very celibacy leads weaker vessels astray.
But is a man not equally attractive when married?
No married man is ever attractive except to his wife.
Often I've been told not even to her.
Well, that depends on the intellectual sympathies of the woman. Maturity can be depended on. Rightness can be trusted. Young women are green. I spoke horticulturally. My metaphor was drawn from fruits. But where was Cecily?
Perhaps she followed us to the school.
Mr. Worthing! Oh, this is indeed a surprise. We did not look for you till Monday afternoon.
I have returned home sooner than I expected. Dr. Chasuble, I hope you're well.
Dear Mr. Worthing, I trust this garb of woe does not betoken some terrible calamity.
My brother!
More shameless debts and extravagance.
Still leading his life of pleasure.
Dead!
Your brother Ernest dead?
Quite dead.
What a lesson for him. I trust he will profit by it.
I offer you my sincere condolence. You at least have the pleasure, Mr. Worthing, of knowing you were always the most generous and forgiving of brothers.
Poor Ernest. He had many faults, but it is still a sad, sad blow.
Very sad indeed. Were you with him at the end?
No, he died abroad. In Paris, in fact. I received a telegram last night from the manager of the Grand Hotel.
And was the cause of death mentioned?
A severe chill, it seems.
Oh, as a man sows, so let him reap.
Oh, Charity, dear Miss Prism, Charity, none of us are perfect. But I myself am peculiarly susceptible to drafts. You will tell me, please, is the interment to take place here?
No, he seemed to have expressed a desire to be buried in Paris.
In Paris? I fear that hardly speaks of any very serious state of mind to last. You would no doubt wish me to make some slight allusion to this tragic domestic affliction on Sunday. My sermon on the meaning of the manna in the wilderness can be adapted to almost any occasion, joyful. This present case distressing. Why, I have preached it at harvest celebrations, christenings, confirmations, festal days, days of humiliation, and the last time I gave it was at the cathedral, a charity sermon on behalf of the Society for Discontent among the upper orders. The bishop who was present was much struck by some of the analogies I drew.
Ah, that reminds me. You mentioned christenings, I think, Dr. Chasuble. I suppose you know how to christen all right. Oh, I mean, of course, to say that you are continually christening, are you not?
Oh, it is, I regret to say, one of the rector's most constant duties in this parish. I've often spoken to the poorer classes on the subject, but they don't seem to know what thrift is.
Is there some particular infant in whom you are interested, Mr. Worthing? Your brother was, I believe, unmarried, was he not?
Oh, yes, yes.
Well, most people who live entirely for pleasure usually are.
Oh, but it was not for any child. No, I'm very fond of children. Now, the fact is, I would like to be christened myself if you have nothing better to do.
But surely, Mr. Worthing, you have been christened already.
I don't remember anything about it.
Have you any great doubts on the subject?
Oh, I certainly intend to have. That is, of course, unless it would bother you in any way, or if you think I'm a little too old now.
Oh, not at all. The sprinkling, indeed, the immersion of adults is a perfectly canonical experience.
Immersion?
You need have no apprehensions, my dear Mr. Worthing. Sprinkling is all that is necessary. I would think advisable. Weather is so changeable. Now, when would you like this ceremony performed?
Oh, I might trot round about 5 if that would suit you.
Perfectly, perfectly. I have 2 similar ceremonies to perform at the same time. A case of twins that occurred in an outlying cottage on your own estate. Mr. Jenkins, the carter, a hard-working man.
I would not like to be christened along with other babies. It would be childish. Would 5:30 do?
Admirably, admirably. And now, my dear Mr. Worthing, I will intrude no longer on a house of woe. I only ask that you be not too bowed down by your grief. What seem to us bitter tidings are often blessings in disguise.
This seems to me a blessing of an extremely obvious kind.
Oh, Uncle Jack, I am pleased to see you back. Oh, but what clothes you've got on. Do go and change them.
Child.
What is the matter, Uncle Jack? Do look happy. You look as if you've had a toothache, and I've got such a surprise for you. Guess who was in the dining room? Your brother. Your brother Earnest. He arrived about a half an hour ago.
What nonsense! I haven't got a brother.
Don't say that. However badly he may have behaved to you in the past, he is still your brother, and you couldn't be so heartless as to disown him. I'll go tell him to come out, and you will shake hands with him, won't you, Uncle Jack?
These are very joyful tidings.
After we'd all been resigned to his loss, his sudden return seems to be most peculiarly distressing.
My brother's in the dining room. I don't know what it all means, but I think it's perfectly absurd.
Brother John, I have come down from town to tell you that I'm very sorry for the way I've acted to you in the past and that I intend on leading a better life in the future.
Uncle Jack, you are not going to refuse your own brother's hand.
Nothing will induce me to take his hand. I think his coming down here disgraceful. He knows perfectly well why.
Uncle Jack, do be nice. There is some good in everyone. Ernest has just been telling me about his poor invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, whom he goes to visit so often. And certainly there is much good in one who is kind to an invalid, and leaves the pleasures of London to sit by a bed of
He's
pain.
been talking to you about Bunbury, has he?
Oh yes, he has told me all about poor Mr. Bunbury and his terrible state of health.
I won't have him talk to you about Bunbury or about anything else. It's enough to drive one perfectly frantic.
Of course I admit that the faults are my own, but I must say I find Brother John's coldness to be particularly painful. I expected a more enthusiastic welcome, especially considering the fact that this is my first time being here.
Uncle Jack, if you don't shake Ernest's hand, I will never forgive you.
Never forgive me.
Never, never, never!
Well, this is the last time I shall ever do it.
Oh, it is pleasant, is it not, to see so perfect a reconciliation? I think we might leave the brothers together.
Cecily, you will come with us.
Oh, yes. My little task of reconciliation is over.
Oh, you have done a beautiful action today, my dear child.
We must not be premature on our judgments.
I feel very happy.
You young scoundrel, Algie! You must get out of this place as soon as possible. I do not allow any fun burying here.
I put Mr. Worthing's things in the room next to yours, sir. I suppose that is all right.
What?
Mr. Worthing's luggage, sir. I've unpacked it and put it in the room next to your own.
It's luggage.
Yes, sir. 3 portmanteaus, a large dressing case, 2 hat boxes, and a large luncheon basket.
I'm afraid I cannot stay for more than a week this time.
Merriman, order a dog cart at once. Mr. Earnest has been suddenly called back to town.
Yes, sir.
What a fearful lie you are, Jack. I've not been called back to town at all.
Yes, you have.
I haven't heard anyone call me.
Your duty as a gentleman calls you back.
My duty as a gentleman is never interfere with my pleasures in the smallest degree.
I can quite understand that.
Well, Cecily's a darling.
You are not to talk of Miss Cardew like that. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes. You're perfectly ridiculous in them. Why not don't you go up and change? You know, it is perfectly childish to be in mourning for a man who is actually staying with you at your house for a whole week as a guest. I call him grotesque.
You're not staying with me in my house as a guest or as anything else. You have got to leave by the 4:05 train.
Well, I certainly won't leave you as long as you're in mourning. It'd be most unkind of me. If I were in mourning, you would come visit me, I suppose. I should think it very unkind if you didn't.
Well, will you go if I change my clothes?
Yes. If you do not take too long. I never met anyone who took so long to dress with such little results.
Better than being always overdressed as you are.
If I am occasionally a bit overdressed, I always make up for it by being immensely overeducated.
Your vanity is ridiculous, your conduct an outrage, and your presence in my garden utterly absurd. However, you have got to get to the 4:05 train, and I hope you'll have a pleasant journey back to town. This bun burying, as you call it, has not been a great success for you.
Well, I think it has been a great success. I'm in love with Cecily, and that is everything. But I must go see her before I leave and make arrangements for another bunbury. Oh, there she is.
Oh, I merely came back to water the roses. I thought you were with Uncle Jack.
He's going to order a dog cart for me.
Is he taking you for a nice drive?
He's sending me away.
Then have we got to part?
I'm afraid so. It is a rather painful parting.
It is always painful to part from people whom one has known for a very brief space of time. The absence of old friends one can endure with equanimity. But even a momentary separation from anyone whom one has just been introduced is almost unbearable.
Thank you.
The dog cart is at the door, sir.
Oh, it can wait, Merriman, for 5 minutes.
Yes, miss.
I hope, Cecily, I shall not offend you if I state quite frankly and openly that you appear to me to be in every way possible the visible personification of absolute perfection.
Your frankness does you great credit, Ernest. If you will allow me, I will copy your remarks into my diary.
Your diary? Do you really keep a diary? Will I give anything to look at it? May I?
No, you see, it is simply a young girl's record of her own faults and impressions, and consequently meant for publication. When it appears in volume form, I hope you will order a copy. Oh, but pray, Ernest, don't stop. I delight in taking down from dictation. I have reached absolute perfection. Oh, you can go on. I'm quite ready for more. Don't cough, Ernest. When one is dictating, one should always speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cough.
Cecily, ever since I first gazed upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I have dared to love you. Wildly, passionately, devotedly, and hopelessly.
I don't think that you should tell me that you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense, does it?
The dog cart is waiting, sir.
Tell her to come round next week. At the same hour.
Yes, sir.
Uncle Jack would be very annoyed if he knew that you were staying on till next week at the same hour.
I don't care about Jack. I don't care about anyone in the whole world but you, Cecily. I love you. You will marry me, won't you?
Why, you silly boy. We have been engaged for the last 3 months.
For the last 3 months.
Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday.
But how did we become engaged?
Well, ever since the Uncle Jack first confessed to us that he had a younger brother who was very wicked and bad, well, you, of course, have formed the chief conversation between myself and Miss Prism. And a man who is much talked about is always very attractive. One feels there is something in him after all. I dare say it was foolishly, but I fell in love with you, Earnest.
And when was the engagement actually settled?
On the 14th of February last. Worn out by your entire ignorance of my existence, I determined to end the matter one way or the other. And after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you under this dear old tree here. And the next day I bought this ring in your name. And this is the bangle with the true lover's knot I promised you always to wear.
Did I buy this for you? Well, it is rather pretty, isn't it?
Yes, you've wonderfully good taste, Ernest. It's the excuse I've always given you for leading such a bad life. And this is the box in which I keep all your dear letters.
My letters? But, my dear Cecily, I've never written you any letters.
You need hardly remind me of that, Ernest. Well, I know too well that I was forced to write your letters for you. I wrote 3 times a week and sometimes often.
May I read them?
Oh, no. You see, they would make you far too conceited. The 3 you wrote to me after I had broken off the engagement are so beautiful and so badly spelled that I can hardly read them without crying over them.
But was our engagement ever broken off?
Oh, yes. On the 22nd of last March. You can see the entry if you'd like. Today I have broken off my engagement with Ernest. I feel it is better to do so. The weather still continues charming.
But why on earth did you break it off? What had I done? Well, I had done nothing at all. Cecily, I'm very much hurt indeed to hear that you broke it off. Particularly when the weather was so charming.
It would have hardly been a real serious engagement if I hadn't broken it off at least once. But I forgave you before the week was out.
What a perfect angel you are.
You dear romantic boy.
You won't ever break off our engagement again.
I don't think I could, now that I've actually met. Besides, of course, there is the question of your name.
Oh, yes, of course.
You must not laugh at me, darling, but it had always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone whose name was Earnest. There is something in that name that seems to inspire absolute confidence. I pity any poor married woman whose husband is not called Earnest.
But you don't mean to tell me you couldn't love me if I had some other name?
Oh, but what name?
Oh, any name you like. Algernon, for instance.
But I don't like the name of Algernon.
Yes, well, my own sweet little loving Cecily, I really do not see why you should object to the name of Algernon. It is not at all a bad name. In fact, it is a rather aristocratic name. Half the chaps in the bankruptcy court are called Algernon. But seriously, if my name were Algie, couldn't you love me?
I might respect you. I might admire your character. But I feel that I should not be able to give you my undivided attention.
Cecily, your rector here is, I suppose, thoroughly experienced in all the practices and rituals of the church.
Oh, yes. Dr. Chasuble is a most learned man. He has never written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows.
I must seem at once on important business.
Oh?
I mean, on important business.
Well, seeing as we have been engaged since February the 14th, and that I've only met you today for the first time, I feel it would be rather hard if you left me for so long a period as a half an hour. Or couldn't you make it 20 minutes?
I'll be back in no time.
Impetuous boy he is. I must enter his proposal into my diary.
Miss Fairfax has called to see Mr. Worthing on very important business, Miss Fairfax states.
Isn't Mr. Worthing in his library?
Mr. Worthing was headed in the direction of the rectory some time ago.
Pray, ask the lady to come out here. I'm sure Mr. Worthing will be back soon, and you can bring tea.
Yes, miss.
Miss Fairfax, I suppose one of the many good elderly women who are associated with Uncle Jack in some philanthropic work in London. I don't quite like women who are interested in philanthropic work. They're so forward of them.
Miss Fairfax.
Pray, Pray, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Cecily Cardew.
Cecily Cardew. What a very sweet name. Something tells me we're going to be great friends. I like you already more than I can say. My first impressions of people are never wrong.
How nice of you to like me so much after we have known each other such a comparatively short time. Oh, please, sit down.
I may call you Cecily, may I not?
Oh, with pleasure.
And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
If you wish.
That is all quite settled, is it not?
I hope so.
Perhaps this might be a favorable opportunity for my mentioning who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. You've heard of Papa, I suppose.
I don't think so.
Outside the family circle, Papa, I'm glad to say, is entirely unknown. I think that is quite as it should be. The home seems to be the proper sphere for the man. And certainly once a man begins to neglect his domestic duties, he becomes painfully effeminate. Does he not? And I don't like that. It makes men so very attractive. Cecily, Mamma, whose views on education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. It is a part of her system. So, do you mind my looking at you through my glasses?
Oh, not at all, Gwendolyn. I am very fond of being looked at.
You are here on a short visit, I suppose.
Oh, no, I live here.
Really? Your mother, no doubt, or some female relative of advanced years resides here also.
Oh, no, Mother, nor in fact any relations.
Indeed.
Oh, my guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Oh, yes, I am Mr. Worthing's ward.
Oh. It is strange he never mentioned to me that he had a ward. How secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly. I am not sure, however, that the news inspires in me feelings of unmixed delight. I am very fond of you, Cecily. I've liked you ever since I met you. But I am bound to state that now that I know that you're Mr. Worthing's ward, I cannot help expressing a wish you were, well, just a little bit older than you seem to be, and not quite so very alluring in appearance. In fact, if I may speak candidly.
Oh, pray do. I feel that whenever one has anything unpleasant to say, one should always be quite candid.
Well, to speak with perfect candor, Cecily, I wish that you were fully 42 and more than usually plain for your age. Ernest has a strong, upright nature. He is the very soul of truth and honor. Disloyalty would be as impossible to him as, well, deception. But even men of the noblest possible moral character are extremely susceptible to the influence of the physical charms of others. Modern, no less than ancient history, supplies us with many most painful examples of what I refer to. If it were not so, indeed, history would be quite unreadable.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Ernest?
Oh, yes.
Oh, it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guardian. It is his brother, his elder brother.
Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a brother.
I am sorry to say they have not been on good terms for a long time.
Ah, that accounts for it. And now that I think of it, I've never heard any man mention his brother. The subject seems distasteful to most men. Cecily, you have lifted a load from my mind. I was growing almost anxious. It would have been terrible if any had come across a friendship like ours, would it not? Of course you are quite sure that it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian.
Oh, quite sure. Well, in fact, I am going to be his.
I beg your pardon?
My dearest Gwendolyn, there is no reason why I should make it a secret of it to you. Our little county newspaper is sure to chronicle the facts next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cecily, I think there must be some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear in the Morning Post on Saturday at the latest.
I am afraid you are under some misconception. Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago.
It is certainly very curious. For he asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. If you would care to verify the incident, pray do so. I never try without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read in the train. I am so sorry, dear Cecily, if it is any disappointment to you, but I'm afraid I have the proud claim.
It would distress me more than I can tell you, dear Gwendolyn, if it caused you any mental or physical anguish, but I feel bound to point out that since Ernest proposed to you, he has clearly changed his mind. If the poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall consider it my duty to rescue him at once, and with a firm hand. Whatever unfortunate entanglement my dear boy may have gotten himself into, I will not reproach him with it until after we are married. Do you allude to me, Miss Cardew, as an entanglement? You are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, it becomes more than a moral duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure. Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I am trapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you? This is no time for the wearing the shallow mask of manners. When I see a spade, I call it a spade. I am glad to say I've never seen a spade. It is obvious that our social spheres are widely different.
Shall I lay the tea here as usual, miss?
Oh yes, as usual. Are there many interesting walks in the vicinity, Miss Cardew? Oh yes, from one of the top of the hills quite close, one can see 5 counties. Oh, 5 counties? I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds. I suppose that is why you live in town. Quite a well-kept garden this is, Miss Cardew. Oh, so glad you like it, Miss Fairfax. I had no idea there were any flowers in the country. Flowers are as common here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London. Personally, I cannot understand how anybody manages to exist in the country. If anybody who is anybody does. The country always bores me to death. May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax? Thank you, detestable girl. But I require tea. Sugar? No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore. Cake or bread and butter? Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen at the best houses nowadays. Hand this to Miss Fairfax. You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and though I've asked most distinctly for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I am known for the gentleness of my disposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature, but I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far. To save my poor, innocent, trusting boy from the machinations of any other girl, there are no lengths until which I would not go. From the moment I saw you, I distrusted you. I thought you were false and deceitful. I am never deceived in such matters. My first impressions of people are invariably right. It seems to me, Miss Fairfax, that I am trespassing on your valuable time. No doubt you may have many other calls of a similar character to make in the neighborhood.
Gwendolyn.
Ernest, my own Ernest.
Gwendolyn, darling.
A moment. May I ask if you are engaged to be married to this young lady?
To dear little Cecily? Of course not. How could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you, you may. I knew there must be some misunderstanding, Miss Fairfax. The gentleman whose arm is at present around your waist is my dear guardian, Mr. John Worthing. Beg your pardon? Oh, this is Uncle Jack. Jack. Oh! Here is Ernest.
My own love.
A moment, please, Ernest. May I ask you, are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
To what young lady? Good heavens, to Gwendolyn?
Yes, to good heavens, Gwendolyn. I mean to Gwendolyn.
Of course not. What could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may. I felt there was some slight error, Miss Cardew. The gentleman who is now embracing you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief. Algernon Moncrief? Are you called Algernon?
I'm afraid I cannot deny it.
Oh, is your name really John?
I could deny it if I liked. I could deny anything if I liked. But my name certainly is John. It's been John for years.
A gross deception has been practiced upon both of us. My poor wounded Cecily. My sweet wronged Gwendolyn. Your very sister, were you not? There is just one question I would like to be allowed to ask my guardian.
And in my part, dear Mr. Worthing, there is just one question I would like to be permitted to put to you. Where is your brother Ernest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother Ernest, so it is a matter of some importance to us to know where your brother Ernest is at present.
Gwendolyn. Cecily. It is very painful for me to be forced to speak the truth. This is the first time in my life that I have ever been reduced to such a painful position. I'm really quite inexperienced in doing anything of the kind. However, I will tell you quite candidly that I have no brother Ernest. I haven't a brother at all. I've never had a brother, and I certainly have not the smallest intention of ever having one in the future.
No brother. At all.
No,
Had you never had a brother of any kind?
never. Not even of any kind.
I am afraid it is quite clear, Cecily, that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone.
This is not a very pleasant position for a young girl to find herself in, is it?
Let us go into the house. They will hardly venture to come after us there.
No. Men are so cowardly, aren't they?
Ghastly state of things is what you call bun burying, I suppose.
Yes, and a perfectly wonderful bunberry it is. One of the most wonderful bunberries I've ever had in my entire life.
Well, you have no right whatsoever to bunbury here.
Oh, well, that's absurd. One has a right to bunberry anywhere one chooses. Any serious bunberries knows that.
Serious bunbury is good heavens!
Well, one must be serious about something if one wants to have any amusement in life. I happen to be serious about bunburying. What on earth you are serious about, I haven't got the remotest knowledge. About everything I should fancy, you have such a trivial nature.
Well, the only small satisfaction I have out of this whole wretched business is that your friend Bunbury is quite exploded. You won't be able to run down to the country quite so often as you used to. A very good thing, too.
Your brother's little off-color, isn't he, dear Jack? You won't be able to run down to the country as so often as your wicked custom was, and not a bad thing either.
As for your conduct towards Miss Cardew, I must say that your taking in a sweet, simple, innocent girl like that is quite inexcusable. To say nothing of the fact that she is my ward.
I can see no possible defense at all for your deceiving a brilliant, clever, thoroughly experienced young lady like Miss Fairfax, to say nothing of the fact that she is my cousin.
I wanted to be engaged to Gwendolyn. That is all. I love her.
Well, I simply want to be engaged to Cecily. I adore her.
There is certainly no chance of you marrying Miss Cardew.
And I don't think there is much likelihood, Jack, of you and Miss Fairfax ever being united.
Well, that is no business of yours.
And if it was my business, I wouldn't talk about it. It's very vulgar to talk about one's business. Only people like stockbrokers do that. And then merely at dinner parties.
How you can stand there calmly eating muffins while we are in this horrible trouble, I can't make out. You seem to me to be perfectly heartless.
Well, I can't eat muffins in an agitated manner. I'll probably get butter all over my cuffs. One should eat muffins quite calmly. It is the only way to eat them.
Say it's perfectly heartless you're eating muffins at all under the circumstances.
Well, when I'm in serious trouble, the only thing that consoles me are muffins. Indeed, when I'm in very serious trouble, as anyone who intimately knows me will tell you, I refuse everything but food and drink. I'm currently eating a muffin because I'm very unhappy. Besides, I'm particularly fond of muffins.
Well, that is no reason why you should eat them all in that greedy way.
I wish you would eat tea cake. I don't like tea cake.
Good heavens, I suppose a man may be allowed to eat his own muffins in his own garden.
Ah, but Jim just said it was perfectly heartless to eat muffins.
I said it was perfectly heartless of you under the circumstances. That is a very different thing.
Yes, but the muffins are still the same.
Algernon, I want you to go.
You can't ask me to leave without having my supper. I never go without my supper. No one does. Except for vegetarians and people of that sort. Besides, I've just made arrangements with Dr. Choswell to be christened at 5:45 under the name of Earnest.
The sooner you give up that nonsense, the better. I made arrangements this morning to be christened myself at 5:30. We can't both be christened Earnest, that's absurd. Besides, I have every right to be christened if I like. There is no evidence at all that says that I have ever been christened by anybody. I should think it extremely probable I never was, and so does Dr. Chasuble. It is entirely different in your case. You have been christened already.
Yes, but I've not been christened for years.
Yes, but you still have been christened. That is the important thing.
Quite so. So I know my constitution can stand it. But I dare say, if you are not sure about your ever having been christened, I dare say I think it rather dangerous you're venturing on it now. It might make you very unwell. You can hardly forget that someone very closely connected with you was just recently carried off in Paris by a severe chill.
Yes, but you said yourself a severe chill is not hereditary.
Well, it used to be, but I dare say it is now. Science is always making wonderful improvements in things like that.
That is nonsense, Algernon. You never speak of anything but nonsense.
Jack, you're at the muffins again. I wish you wouldn't. There are only 2 left. Besides, I told you I was particularly fond of muffins.
But I hate tea cake.
Why on earth then do you allow tea cake to be served up for your guests? What ideas of hospitality you have?
Algernon, I have already told you to go. I don't want you here. Why don't you go?
I hadn't finished my tea yet. And there's still 1 muffin left.
The fact that they did not follow me at once into the house, as anyone else would have done, seems to me to show that they have some sense of shame.
Well, they have been eating muffins. That looks like repentance.
They don't seem to notice us at all. Couldn't you call?
Oh, but I have no call.
They're looking at us. What effrontery.
Oh, they're approaching. That's very forward of them.
Let us preserve a dignified silence.
Certainly, it's the only thing to do now.
This dignified silence seems to produce an unpleasant effect.
A most distasteful.
But we will not be the first to speak.
Certainly not.
Mr. Worthing, I have something very particular to ask you. Much depends on your reply.
Gwendolyn, your common sense is invaluable. Mr. Moncrief, kindly answer me the following question. Why did you pretend to be my guardian's brother?
In order that I might have an opportunity of meeting you.
That seems a very satisfactory explanation, does it not?
Oh, yes, if you can believe him.
I don't. But that does not affect the wonderful beauty of his answer.
In matters of grave importance, style, not sincerity, is the vital thing. Mr. Worthing, what explanation can you offer to me for pretending to have a brother? Was it in order that you might have the opportunity to come up to town to see me as often as possible?
Can you doubt it, Miss Fairfax?
I have the greatest doubts upon the subject. But I intend to crush them. This is not the moment for German skepticism. Their explanations seem to be quite satisfactory, especially Mr. Worthing's. That seems to have the stamp of truth upon it.
I am more than content with what Mr. Moncrief said. His voice alone seems to inspire one with absolute credulity.
Then, you think we should forgive them?
Yes. I mean, no.
True. I had forgotten there are principles at stake that one cannot surrender. Which of us should tell them? The task is not a pleasant one.
Could we not both speak at the same time?
An excellent idea. I nearly always speak at the same time as other people. Will you take the time for me?
Oh, certainly. Your Christian names are still an inseparable barrier. That is all.
Our Christian names, is that all? But we're going to be christened this afternoon.
For my sake, you are prepared to do this terrible thing?
I am.
To please me, you are ready to face this fearful ordeal.
I am.
Oh, so to talk of the equality of sexes, where questions of self-sacrifice are concerned, men are infinitely beyond us.
We are.
They have moments of physical courage of which we women know absolutely nothing.
Darling.
Darling. Lady Bracknell.
Gwendolyn, what is the meaning of this?
Merely that I I'm engaged to be married to Mr. Worthing, Mama.
Come here. Sit down. Sit down at once. Hesitation of any kind is a sign of physical decay among the young, of physical weakness in the old. Apprised, sir, of my daughter's sudden departure by her trusted maid, whose confidence I purchased with a small coin, I followed her at once by luggage train. Her unhappy father, I am pleased to say, is under the impression that she is attending a more than usually lengthy lecture at the University Extension Scheme on the importance of thought and its influence on education. But you, sir, in this matter, as in all matters, I do not propose to undeceive him. You, however, will clearly understand that all communication between you and my daughter must cease at once from this moment. On this point, as indeed on all points, I am firm.
I am engaged to be married to Gwendolen, Lady Bracknell.
You are nothing of the sort, sir. Now, as regards Algernon. Algernon,
Yes, Aunt Augusta?
may I inquire if this is the house in which your invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, resides?
No, Bunbury doesn't live here. Bunbury is somewhere else at the present. In fact, Bunbury is dead.
Dead? When did he die? His death must have been awfully sudden.
Oh, I killed Bunbury this afternoon. Bunbury died this afternoon.
But what did he die of?
A Bunbury? Oh, he quite exploded.
Exploded?
What I mean to say, my Aunt Augusta, is that he was found out. Yes, the doctors found out that Bunbury could not live, that is what I mean. And so Bunbury died.
Well, Mr. Bunbury must have had a good deal of confidence in the opinion of his physicians. However, I am pleased to hear that he has at the last made up his mind to some definite course of action and acted under proper medical advice. Now that we are finally rid of Mr. Bunbury, may I ask, Mr. Worthing, who is this young person whose hand my nephew Algernon is holding in what seems to be a peculiarly unnecessary manner?
That lady is Miss Cecily Cardew, my ward.
I'm engaged to be married to Cecily, Aunt Augusta.
I beg your pardon.
Mr. Moncrief and I are engaged to be married, Lady Bracknell.
I do not know if there is something peculiarly exciting about the air in this part of Hertfordshire, but the number of engagements that go on seem to me to be considerably above the proper average that statistics have laid out for our guidance. I do not think that a few preliminary inquiries on my part would be out of place. Mr. Worthing, is Miss Cardew connected in any way with any of the larger railway stations of London? I merely seek information. Until yesterday, I had no idea that there were any families or persons whose origin was a terminus.
Miss Cardew is the granddaughter of the late Mr. Thomas Cardew of 149 Belgrave Square, SW, Jervis Park, Dorking, Surrey, and the Spore and Fifeshire, NB.
I am not unsatisfied. 3 addresses always inspire confidence, even in tradesmen. But what proof have I of their authenticity?
I have carefully preserved the court guides of the period. I have also in my possession, you will be pleased to hear, certificates of Miss Cardew's birth, baptism, whooping cough, registration, vaccination, confirmation, and the measles, both the German and the English variety.
Ah, a life crowded with incidents, I see, but perhaps a bit too exciting for a young girl. I myself am not in favor of premature experiences. Come, Gwendolen, the time approaches for our departure. We have not a moment to lose. Oh, as a matter of form, Mr. Worthing, perhaps I should ask whether Miss Cardew has any small fortune.
Oh, only about £130,000 in the funds. That is all. Goodbye, Lady Bracknell. So pleased to
One moment, Mr. Worthing. £130,000 and in the funds? Oh, well, Miss Cardew seems to me to be a most attractive young lady now that I look at her. A few girls of our age have any really solid qualities, qualities that last and improve with time. We live, I regret to say, in an age of surfaces. Come here, dear. Yes, pretty child. Although your dress is sadly simple and your hair seems much as nature might have left it. Oh, well, we can soon alter all that. A thoroughly experienced French maid produces really marvelous results in a very short space of time. I remember recommending one to the young Lady Lansing, and in 2 months' time, her own husband did not know her.
After 6 months, nobody knew her.
Turn round, child. No. It is the side view that I wanted, dear. Yes, as I expected, there are some distinct social possibilities in your profile. 2 weak points of our age are its want of principle and its want of profile. Oh, chin a little higher, dear. Style is largely based on how the chin is worn, and they're worn very high just at present. Algernon.
Yes, Aunt Augusta?
There are some distinct social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile.
Cecilisa is the sweetest, dearest, prettiest girl in the whole world, and I don't care 2 pence about social possibilities.
Do not speak disrespectfully of society, Algernon. Only people who can't get into it do that. Now, Miss Cardew, I must assure you that my nephew Algernon has nothing but his debts to depend upon. I myself do not approve of mercenary marriages. When I married Lord Bracknell, I had no fortune of my own, but I did not for a moment dream of allowing that to stand in my way. Well, yes, I suppose I must give my consent.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
The marriage, I think, should take place rather soon.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
I do not believe in long engagements. They only allow people the opportunity to learn each other's character before the marriage. I think it's never advisable.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you, Lady Bracknell, but this engagement is quite out of the question. I am Miss Cardew's guardian, and she is not allowed to marry without my consent until she comes of age. That consent I absolutely decline to give.
On what grounds, Mr. Worthing? My nephew Algernon is an extremely, if I may say, ostentatiously eligible young man. Well, he has nothing, but he looks everything. What more could one desire?
It pains me very much to have to speak to you frankly, Lady Bracknell, about your nephew. But the fact of the matter is I do not approve at all of his moral character. I suspect him of being untruthful.
Untruthful? My nephew Algernon? Oh, impossible. He is an Oxonian.
I fear there can be no doubt about the matter. This afternoon, during my temporary absence in London on an important question of romance, he gained admission to my house under the false pretenses of being my brother. Continuing his disgraceful deception, he proceeded in the course of the afternoon in alienating the affections of my only ward. He subsequently stayed for tea and devoured every single muffin. And the thing that makes his conduct all the more heartless is that he was very well aware from the first that I have no brother, that I have never had a brother, and that I certainly do not ever intend to have a brother, not even of any kind. I distinctly told him so myself yesterday afternoon.
Well, after giving the matter considerable consideration, I have decided entirely to overlook my nephew's conduct to you.
This is very kind of you, Lady Bracknell. My own decision on the matter, however, is unchangeable. I decline to give my consent.
Come here, dear. How old are you?
I am really only 18, but I always admit to 20 when I go to evening parties.
Oh, well, you are quite right in making some slight alteration. A woman should never be quite accurate about her age. It looks so calculating. It's 18, but admitted to 20 at evening parties. Well, you soon will be of age and free from the restraint of tutelage, so I do not think, after all, that your guardian's consent really is a matter of much importance.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you again, Lady Bracknell, but according to the terms of her grandfather's will, Miss Cardew does not legally come of age until she is 35.
That does not seem to be a grave objection. 35 is a very attractive age. London society is filled with women of the highest position who have been 35 for years. Lady Dumbleton is a case in point. To my knowledge, she has been 35 ever since she arrived at the age of 40. And that has been many years ago now. I see no reason why our little Cecily will not be even more attractive at the age you mentioned than she is right now. And there will be a large accumulation of property.
Algie, could you wait for me until I was 35?
Of course I could, Cecily. You know I could.
Yes, I felt it instinctively, but I could not wait all that time. I hate waiting even for 5 minutes, for anybody. It makes me rather cross. I am not punctual myself, but I do like punctuality in others, and waiting even to be married is quite out of the question.
Then what is to be done, Cecily?
I don't know, Mr. Wilkie.
Mr. Worthing, since Miss Cardew has stated positively she cannot wait until she is 35, a comment which seems to me to show an impatient nature, I beg of you to reconsider your decision.
But, my dear Lady Bracknell, the decision is entirely within your own hands. For the moment that you consent to my marriage with Gwendolen, I will most gladly allow your nephew to form an alliance with my ward.
Well, Mr. Worthing, you must realize that what you propose is entirely out of the question.
Then a passionate celibacy is all that any of us can look forward to.
That is not the destiny I propose for Gwendolen. Algernon, of course, can choose for himself. Come, Gwendolen. We have missed 5, if not 6 trains already. To miss any more might invite comment on the platform.
Everything is quite ready for the christenings.
The christening, sir? Is that not a bit premature?
But both these gentlemen have expressed desire for immediate baptism.
At their age? That is grotesque and irreligious. Algernon, I forbid you to be married. I will not hear of such excesses. If Lord Bracknell were to learn that this is how you waste your time and money, he would be highly, highly displeased.
Am I to understand, then, that there are to be no christenings at all this afternoon?
I don't think that as things as they are now, it would be of much practical value to either of us, Dr. Tusable.
It grieves me to hear such sentiments, Mr. Worthing. They savor of the heretical views of the Anabaptists. Views I have completely refuted in 4 of my unpublished sermons. However, as your mood seems one peculiarly secular, I shall return to the church at once. Indeed, I just heard from the pew opener, and for the last hour and a half, Miss Prism has been waiting for me in the vestry.
Prism? Did I hear you mention a Miss Prism?
Yes, Lady Bracknell, I'm on my way to join her.
Well, pray, let me detain you then a moment, sir. This could prove to be of vital importance to Lord Bracknell and myself. Is Miss Prism a female of repellent aspect, remotely connected with education?
She is the most cultivated of ladies and the very picture of respectability.
It must be the same person. May I ask, sir, what position she holds in your household?
I am a celibate, madam.
Lady Bracknell, Miss Prism has been for the last 3 years Miss Cardew's esteemed governess and valued companion.
In spite of what I hear of her, I must see her at once. Let her be sent for.
She approaches. She is nigh.
I was told you expected me in the vestry, dear Kenneth. I've been waiting there for you for 1 hour and 3/4.
Prism! Come here, Prism! Prism! Where is that baby? 28 years ago, you left the home of Lord Bracknell at 104 Upper Grosvenor Street in charge of a perambulator that contained a baby of the male sex. You never returned. After weeks of elaborate investigation, the Metropolitan Police Department discovered the perambulator at midnight, standing alone in a remote corner of Bayswater. It contained a manuscript of a 3-volume novel of more than revolting sentimentality. But the baby was not there. Prism, where is that baby?
Lady Bracknell, I admit with shame that I do not know. I only wish I did. The plain facts of the case are these. On the morning of the day that you mentioned it, oh, a day that is forever fronted on my memory, I prepared as usual to take the perambulator, the baby in the perambulator on the stroll, and I had also with me a somewhat large but old capacious handbag in which I had intended to place a manuscript of a work of fiction that I had been writing in my few and occupied hours. In a moment of mental abstraction for which I can never forgive myself, I placed the manuscript in the carriage and the baby in the handbag.
But where did you deposit the handbag?
Oh, do not ask me, Mr. Worthing.
Miss Prism, this is a matter of no small importance to me. I insist on knowing where you deposited that handbag.
I left it in the cloakroom of one of the larger railway stations in London.
What railway station?
Oh, Victoria. The Brighton line.
I must return to my room for a moment. Gwendolyn, wait here for me.
If you're not too long, I will wait here for you all my life.
What do you suppose this means, Lady Bracknell?
I dare not even suspect, Dr. Chasuble. I need not tell you that in families of high position, strange coincidences are not supposed to occur. They're hardly considered the thing.
Uncle Jack seems strangely agitated.
Your guardian has a fairly emotional nature.
Oh, this noise is most unpleasant. It sounds as if he were having an argument, and I dislike arguments of any kind. They're always vulgar and often convincing.
Oh, it has stopped now.
Oh, I wish he would arrive at some definite conclusion.
This suspense is terrible. I hope it will last.
Is this the handbag, Miss Prism? Examine it carefully, for the happiness of more than one life depends on your answer.
But it seems to be mine. Well, yes. Here's the injury it received during the upsetting of a Gower Street omnibus. Oh, in early and happier days. Here is a stain on the lining caused by the explosion of a temperance beverage. Oh, an event that happened in Leamington. Dear, my initials. I'd forgotten that in an extravagant mood I'd have them placed there. This bag is undoubtedly mine. Oh, delighted to have it so unexpectedly returned to me. It's been a great inconvenience being without it all these years.
Miss Prism, more was restored to you than just the handbag. I was the baby you placed in it.
You!
Yes, mother!
Oh, no, Mr. Worthing! Oh, no, I'm unmarried.
Unmarried? I do not deny this is a serious blow, but after all, who has the right to cast a stone against one who has suffered? Cannot repentance wipe out an act of folly? Why should there be one law for men and another for women?
Oh.
Mother, I forgive you.
No, Mr. Worthing! There is some error. There is the lady who can tell you who you really are.
Lady Bracknell, I hate to seem inquisitive, but would you kindly inform me of who I am?
I am afraid that the news I am about to impart to you, sir, will not altogether please you. You are the son of my poor sister, Mrs. Moncrief, and consequently, Algernon's elder brother.
Algy's elder brother? Then I do have a brother after all. Cecily, how could you have ever doubted that I had a brother? Dr. Chasuble, my unfortunate brother! Miss Prism, my unfortunate brother! Gwendolyn, my unfortunate unfortunate brother! Algy, you young scoundrel, you better start treating me with more respect. You've never behaved to me as a brother in all your life.
Well, I did my best, so I was out of practice.
My own. But what own are you? What is your Christian name now that you become someone else?
Good heavens, I had almost forgotten the point. Your decision on the matter is hardly irrevocable, I suppose.
Oh, I never change, except in my affections.
What a noble nature you have, Gwendolyn.
The matter had best be cleared up at once. Aunt Augusta, a moment. At the time when I was placed in the handbag, had I been christened already?
Well, every luxury that money could buy, including christening, was lavished upon you by your fond and doting parents.
Then I was christened. That's settled, but what name was I given? Let me know the worst.
Well, as the elder son, you were, of course, christened after your father.
Yes, but what was our father's Christian name?
I cannot for the moment recall the General's Christian name, although I am sure he had one. He was a bit eccentric, but that came later and was the result of the Indian climate and marriage and indigestion and things of that sort.
Algy, can't you recall what our father's Christian name was?
My dear boy, we were never even on speaking terms. He died before I was a year old.
His name would appear on the army list of the period, I suppose.
Well, the General was essentially a man of peace, except in his domestic life. But yes, his name should be on any of the military directories.
The army list of the last 40 years are in here. These delightful records should have been my constant study. Generals. Magley, Maxwell, ghastly names they have. Magley, Migsby, Mobs, Moncrief. Lieutenant, 1840. Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel. General, 1869. Christian names, Earnest John. I always told you my name was Earnest, didn't I, Gwendolyn? Well, it is Earnest after all. I mean, it naturally is Earnest.
Yes, now I recall that the General was called Earnest. I knew that there was some reason for my particular dislike of that name.
Ernest, my own Ernest. From the first, I felt that you could have no other name.
Gwendolyn, it's a terrible thing for a man to suddenly find out that he's been speaking nothing but the truth his entire life. Can you forgive me?
I can, for I feel you are sure to change.
My own one.
Letitia.
Frederick, at last!
Cecily, at last.
Gwendolyn, at last.
My nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of triviality.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, I now realize for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest.